Y'all, I love cooking with these crescent rolls. They were an absolute staple in my house growing up, and now that I am cooking on here, I love it whenever my friend Carrie cooks with me, especially whenever she uses these, because she can't ever open these without making a little noise. So we're going to listen for it right now. Oh, no.
Oh, come on.
Here it comes. Perfect. So what we're going to do is go ahead and unroll these crescent rolls here. We're going to make sure that we get them all nice and flat. And what we're going to do is take a rolling pin to them whenever we get it laid out, okay? They've got a lot of perforations in here that we may or may not want to use for this recipe. So we want to make sure that we get those just mashed into the dough as best that we can. So we're going to roll both horizontal and vertical to make sure that we get that flattened out just best we can and get all of that dough put together. Next, we're going to season this bread with a little bit of garlic powder, a little bit of onion powder, just to make sure that none of it is bland, okay? Whenever it comes out, it is rich and buttery and flaky, but it's not going to be very seasoned, is what I'm saying. So with the garlic and the onion, that's going to give it just a little bit more spice to it, a little bit more depth of flavor. Now, next, you can choose whatever kind of spice that you want. We love this rub, so we use it in a lot of our bacon. But if you've got something that you prefer, like an everything seasoning or something like that, please go right ahead. Now, we're going to use some of this steak. I love this lunch meat. It is so fun. It's so versatile. It's so delicious. And it's something that I used to use whenever I was growing up. We'd do what you call blank on a shingle. Y'all know what it is I'm talking about here. And you'd use the creamy soup and you'd put the chipped beef on there and you'd put it on top of a piece of white loaf bread and it'd be so good. Well, we're going to be using whole pieces of that today for this recipe. Please make sure you get the paper out. I don't want y'all eating that inside your napkin, inside your sandwich, all right? So go ahead and take that backing paper out. Now what we're going to do is add just a little bit of cheese. We got the mozzarella. I love how this melts. It is such a wonderful texture, and it melts like a dream. So whenever you add heat to it, all it's going to do is, number one, make that beautiful, stringy, stretchy cheese. And number two, it's going to hold your entire recipe together, which is another just bonus. Make sure you get a good distribution on that, please. And then we're going to just roll over that last little bit of steak just to make sure we make a little bit of a pocket. Now then, just a little bit more spice right there on the top just to make sure we got plenty of flavor going in this wonderful recipe we got going for us today, okay? Now then, coming up next is going to be just a little bit more cheese, all right? This time it's going to be Parmesan. This is a little bit of a harder cheese. It's got a little bit of a sharper flavor to it. We're going to be just a little bit more sparing with it. Now, nobody's being stingy. We still got plenty of cheese on here. We're just mixing the flavors and textures a little bit is all. Now, next, we're going to put on some more of that beautiful steak. And again, we're going to be to make sure we get rid of that backing because we don't want to get that in our mouth. Go ahead and pull that all the way up and down. Make sure we put another layer on top of our cheese. We're going to turn a little bit so it's a little bit easier to handle, okay? Now we're going to be very close and careful with it and just roll this up. Now, this is where things went just a little bit sideways, just so you know. We probably should have sprayed this cutting board with a little bit of nonstick spray, a little bit of Pam before we got started to make sure that our dough wouldn't stick. But the sticking dough wasn't our only problem. We also had a little bit of issue with that perforation. It started coming apart. So we got to be super careful with those kind of things, all right? So what we're going to do now is just kind of work in a little bit of a triage situation. Now we've reached emergency status. Instead of going for a doctor visit, we're going to the ER. But we're going to make something wonderful out of this. Y'all just stick around and watch, okay? What I'm going to do is put it in a loaf pan. I'm going to spray it with nonstick spray and put everything that just happened in here. Our oven's already preheated to 350 degrees. I ain't got nothing to worry about. We've just made a slightly different turn in where we're going to be ending up. It's about the journey, not always the destination. Well, it's a little bit about both, but either way, I'm very confident this is going to turn out just beautifully. We're going to try our very best to make sure we get all of that dough put back together. Those perforations are really dealing us fits right now. No problem. We did the best we could with it. Now we're just going to smother it in cheese and throw it in the oven. 350 at 25 minutes. And I wish you'd look at that. It's gorgeous. It's perfect. Now what was going to start as sort of like a sandwich roll is now this beautiful sandwich loaf. And I got no problems with it at all. It's got that gorgeous burnt cheese. Oh, I love that stuff so much. I call it burnt, but I promise you it's out of love and delicious because that stuff is absolutely out of this world. We're going to serve it up on a plate, and we're going to serve it with probably like a green salad because a green vegetable ain't going to kill none of us, and that's just the truth of it. Y'all, please be careful with this. It is super, super hot, and all of that cheese inside is going to make that just absolutely lava hot. But I wish you'd look at that, how gorgeous. It smells like a dream. My goodness. We're going to put just a little bit of blue cheese dressing on the side, so that way we got a little bit of a dipping sauce going on here. It's tender, it's delicious, it's layers and layers of absolutely wonderful. We're going to load a fork, dip it in our blue cheese, and we'll be ready to go. Woo! Yes, please.